Good morning. And are we on? Okay, good. Might help if I also put it up a little closer. There we go. So, an all-expense paid trip to Hawaii for the person who can identify what section of the Gospel of Matthew this comes from. It's a collection of 3 chapters. Vic? Yes. I forgot to say, you have to say it in Aramaic. Sorry. But he is correct. The Sermon on the Mount. Perhaps the most well-known set of teachings of Jesus. And it is a tone setter in Matthew. You see Jesus living over and over and over again what he teaches and preaches in these 3 chapters. Now let me add, because this is a recurring piece that we have been lifting up for a few Sundays here and there. It is from 5:13 through 14. It's about salt and light, and it continues to be just as relevant today as it was in Jesus' time. From the Sermon on the Mount, chapter 5 of Matthew. You are the salt of the earth. But if salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. So, I have a stack of manila folders, and I go to them to grab a folder to put my materials for a Sunday morning in. Some of them are from neighborhood of 20, not yet 20, but the 20 years I served as a pastor. I have a big stack of those. I also have a stack of manila folders from years of teaching and changes I've made, and so these folders no longer contain what I used to have them for, and they are in that same place, and I just grab one on a Sunday morning. This Sunday morning, I grabbed a few from the stack and pulled them out, and I looked down and I thought, that is exactly the one that I am taking for today. And it says, Alphabet Practice Pages. Obviously from school. Alphabet Practice Pages. And I thought, that just fits so perfectly, because what we are talking about today is respect. And what came to my mind instantly when I saw Alphabet Practice Pages was that wonderful song by the legendary Aretha Franklin.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, take A-T-C-B.
And if that song is stuck in your head all week, you're welcome. It's a wonderful song, and it's a wonderful message. Now, when you also think about respect, your mind, maybe not, might include Rodney Dangerfield. I get no respect. No respect. You remember him doing that in his routines. Those of you who remember Rodney Dangerfield, you're going to have to look up Rodney Dangerfield on YouTube or something. Way before your time. Now, Rodney Dangerfield was famous for that line, and he would play off of it. I get no respect. Let me tell you, it's a tough crowd. And he would say that over and over, and then he'd launch into how he didn't get respect and how it was tough. There's a seed of truth in that for us today, because we live in a time where there is little respect, and it's a tough crowd. There's little respect for manners. There's little respect for other people. There's little respect for property. There's little respect for authority. There's little respect for the truth. In fact, there seems to be an attitude of disrespect, an attitude of surliness, an attitude of meanness, sarcasm, cynicism, and antagonism. In this climate today, it seems to be okay to lash out at someone if they say something we don't like. It is okay to belittle them. It is okay to make fun of them. It is okay to demean them. It's okay to make up a mocking name to call them and spread it around. Or, if they don't do like we think they should do, or like we want them to do, or if they don't agree with us on certain views, especially political views, or if they don't dress like we think they should, or if they don't wear their hair like we think they should. And it could go on and on and on. Any of 1,000 tests as to whether or not another person measures up to our standards. And if they measure up to our standards, then they get our respect. Or any of 1,000 tests to see if they measure up to our standards, and if they don't measure up to our standards, then it's okay to do anything or treat them or regard them any way we like. You see the problem in that? Do you want to live like that? So what is a Christian to do? It's a tough crowd. Jesus says that he didn't come to do away with the law and the prophets. He came to fulfill them. He came to show people how to live rightly with God. It had been laid out before them in their scriptures. It had been part of their culture and their society and their religious practice for centuries. It is what held them together through exile and the many storms of life that the Hebrew people faced. What held them together was their faith and their scriptures as it laid down God's law for living rightly. And top of the list on God's law and how it was communicated to people, the Ten Commandments. You remember some of those? They talked about how to be reverent and respectful. In fact, if you could sum up the Ten Commandments in one word, that one word would be respect. Respect for God and God's ways. Respect for one another. Respect for the property of others. Respect for parents. Respect for the world around us. When I graduated from the Master of Divinity program in 1987, at Duke, we had big graduation ceremony in Wallace Wade Stadium. All of the graduating classes for doctorate programs and masters and undergraduate gathered there, and Ted Koppel was the speaker. Ted Koppel of Nightline fame. Wonderful man. And he gave a very, very powerful address. And I will never, ever forget one thing in particular that he said. He said, when he was talking about living and going out and living life in a way that is fruitful and productive, and he said, that is being successful. Not how high you climb, but how you live. And he said, we have some guidance in that. And he said, it's the Ten Commandments. And then he said, notice that it's not the 10 suggestions. Fundamental principles behind the Ten Commandments. And in his teachings and life, Jesus shows us what reverence for God and respect for others looks like. He said it, and then he lived it. It was tough to be a Christian in the time of Matthew. Christians were being more and more persecuted. And in recording the stories about Jesus, Matthew is trying to lay it out for the people of his time. And he's telling them there is a way you need to live, and Jesus showed it. And he said, if the presence of persecution causes you to lose your saltiness, then what good is living your life for Christ? What are people seeing? And he said, if persecution, being harassed as you follow Jesus, makes you hide your light, then what are you doing to let your light shine? Is that following Jesus? And in the section called the Beatitudes, Matthew recalls the words of Jesus and says, blessed are you when you are persecuted and reviled and get no respect. Think about how our country would be different if we treated each other with respect. Just basic respect. Think about how different our country might be if our national leaders treated each other with respect. Respect. That's the starting point. And a lot of people want to say, you've got to earn my respect. But no, that's not correct. Respect is the starting point. God, throughout the Scriptures, tells us, treat one another with respect, whether they do the same to you or not. Does Jesus say, give somebody your cloak only if they treat you nicely and they give you respect? No. Does Jesus say, love one another, pray for them, only if you like them and they give you respect? No. Jesus says respect is the starting point. Now, someone may have to earn your admiration, but not your respect. Everyone should get our respect and be treated with respect. The Ten Commandments tell us so. Jesus tells us so. Jesus doesn't say, if you like this person, go out of your way. Watch your anger with a person if you respect them. He doesn't say, if you don't agree with another person, then go ahead and treat them any way you want. Can you find that anywhere in the Gospels? No. Let's take it a little deeper. Treat someone with respect if you do not have a damaged relationship with them. But if there is bad blood between you and the other person, then all bets are off. Do whatever you want. If the person is a different skin color, or if a person is from another country, some particular countries especially, then you can do anything you want. Does Jesus say that? I don't think so. That's not what Jesus was about. And that's not what the law that Jesus taught us is all about. And that law is really based in respect, can be summed up in one word. So if you could sum up the Ten Commandments in one word, respect, you can sum up the law of Jesus in one word, and that is love. I don't know if you might have ever seen the movie Rudy. It's a great movie. The movie Rudy is about this young man who has grown up living and breathing Notre Dame football. And he wants more than anything else in his life to play football for Notre Dame. But he's got one problem. He's really short. And there's not all that much to it. But it doesn't affect his heart and his passion. And so the movie follows Rudy and his struggles to get on the Notre Dame football team, how he finally gets accepted to Notre Dame and then gets on the practice squad. And people are laughing at him, and they hear what his dream is. Rudy, you'll never make it. And so he gets disrespected right and left. People are laughing, making fun of him, but that doesn't stop him. And that passion drives him and keeps him going. He gets knocked down, and he gets back up. He gets knocked down again. He gets backed up. And we're not talking just on the football field, but with things that happen in his life and how he's left out time and time again. But he doesn't give up. Now, why in the world am I bringing in Rudy at this point in the sermon? That's a very good question. And here's the answer. Imagine what this world would look like if we loved one another, if we respected one another with the passion that Rudy pursued his dream. What would this world look like if Christians lived those words of Jesus with passion, and they get knocked down and they get back up and they keep going in there and they keep trying over and over and over again, because that's what it means to follow Jesus. Jesus is there with us. Jesus has been there before us. Jesus has been where we're going. And Jesus walks with us every step of the way to help us be salt, to help us be light. We need that same kind of burning passion. A burning passion to love as God loves, and to love as Jesus has loved us. By being salt and shining your light, by your works out there in a society where there is so much lack of respect and where it's a very tough crowd. The disrespectful, the antagonistic, because of Christians being salt and light. Those voices of disrespect and antagonism will be countered. They will be countered by a different voice. Your voice. Amen.